So they figured out that I spent $250 on lottery tickets to win the $45 million, which I think is pretty good value for your money. There was not one moment that it was I considered it a curse, except when I got the last check. Then I cursed. I remember when I won, and 26 years seemed like forever. And now it's here, and I have to say it was a blink of an eye.
Welcome to Lottery Dreams and Fortune. So we are so excited to be joined here with John Falcon. He won a $45 million lottery in New York in 1999. He's been on this podcast before. His story is really incredible. We're going to put the links to his interviews below, but we have some questions from the previous interview that flooded in from quite a few fans and viewers who enjoyed that interview that we're going to get to right now. The first question comes from Real Y Brandon, and he asks, John, how many tickets per week did you purchase before you won?
I just did 2 games, 2 tickets. I just played the numbers that were the constant, which were the compilation of my addresses, and then I would make up 6 more numbers, and it was the lotto. That was $1 a piece at the time, or $2 a piece, whatever it was. And so for $2, $4 weekly is what I spent.
And do you know how many weeks you played prior to the win?
I do, not because I'm brilliant, but because a newspaper did it at the time. They figured out, I forget, it was like I played for like 2 years or something. So they figured out that I spent $250 on lottery tickets to win the $45 million, which I think is pretty good value for your money.
Someone else is asking, we covered this in a previous interview, but was it more of a blessing or a curse to win?
It was an absolute blessing. There was not one moment that it was I considered it a curse, except when I got the last check. Then I cursed.
Because you took the annuity and you just received the last check not too long ago. 26
years. And it's not even the check. What is really astounding about that is how quickly 26 years went. Do you know what I mean? I remember when I won, and 26 years seemed like forever. And now it's here, and I have to say it was a blink of an eye, an absolute blink of an eye. Well, you won in 99. Don't you feel where you are now? Just, you went to bed in 1999 after winning, and you woke up this morning.
Yeah, it is really hard to believe. It has gone by in the blink of an eye.
Blink of an eye. Because time is like that. One has to live in the moment, and one has to appreciate where one is at the moment. At that time, because that's really what life is about. Well, I mean, it's horrible because I sent you a song called This Moment. Now it sounds like, no. But I mean, the moment is the thing. Not the past, plan for the future, but the moment is, live in the moment.
That is very wise. And you did see, for people that didn't or don't know, that you're also a musician, and so that's the song you're referring to. And we will put a link to your music in this. We have a question here from JNT Marie, who asks, did John set up a retirement fund for himself?
I didn't set up a retirement fund. I knew that I wanted a certain amount of money, at the end, and I do have that. So, now I'm worried about that money, but for reasons we don't have to discuss. But I mean, so I knew that I knew that I wanted a certain amount of money. That I accomplished. I do wish that I had maybe 10 years ago, 15 years ago, gotten an equity fund or something. And I usually have an instinct that, let me sell it now. An equity fund will give you a dividend. You get a monthly dividend and you have something to live off of. I wish I had done more intelligent things like that. But the thing about the market is that you don't know, the last few months, you don't know whether it's going to go up or whether it's going to go down, what's it going to do. But for the last years prior to, November, the market was just going up. So I would have made, all of us would have, if we had taken some of our lottery winnings and put it into an index, and that would have paid you a dividend monthly. But I'm not unhappy with where I am now. I do have a chunk of change left.
Enjoy watching YouTube. 8227 left a comment as well. Was John, do you still play the lottery and use the same numbers from when you won in 1999? And did your grandmother's voice ever return? Because you mentioned that you had dreamt about your grandmother in your dream prior to or right around the first win.
I don't use the same numbers. I think those numbers are spent. No, the chances of me hitting those numbers again, I mean, just put wings on me now and a halo. I mean, that would, I mean, like, give me my own country. I mean, that's just too, that's science fiction, no? That's the beginning of a science fiction novel. I won the lottery, and now I won it again with the same numbers,
Yeah, I mean, that would be really crazy. Anything is possible, but I completely understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
And you dreamt about your grandmother before or around the first win. This person is asking, did your grandmother ever return in other dreams after this series of dreams?
I will say yes, and then I will say no. She returns because was my grandmother, and I was her favorite grandchild. And we just had a great relationship. She was like, we were pals, and all this stuff. So she returns in that regard. However, since my parents passed away, they're the people who have replaced a lot of my dreams. And I had a dream about my father, and that we were at the harbor of Hong Kong station, which I don't know if you've ever been to Hong Kong. It's it's the boat station. And it's a very, but with rickshaws and nunchucks and things like that. Go all over the place. It's a very specific harbor. Why I would dream about Hong Kong harbor. I've only been there once. And I saw this, in between the crowd, I saw this face. And it was a young man. I'm looking at this young man. I'm going, I wonder why he's staring at me. And then, I kind of look away and I go, oh my God, that's my father, but when he was in the army. So then I look up once I realize who it is, and he turns around and he walks into the crowd. And then I go running through the crowd searching for him and never find him. And I don't remember my dream. So the fact that I remember that is really, I couldn't tell you a dream with my grandmother, because they were never significant. They were just, her saying hello, I don't know. But that one was very profound, because I wasn't dreaming about my father when he passed away at 74. I dreamt this was him as a young army guy in the Second World War, and that was the face I was looking at. And then he just kind of turned around and went into the crowd, and then I went running after him. I don't know what that. My sister got very jealous about that. She said, "Dad paid you a visit, and she says, I haven't dreamt it. He hasn't come into my dreams." And what do you tell someone? Start drinking. But my grandmother, no, not so much anymore. But I wonder what that dream was that I had the other night, about feeling, I won the lottery again. Good, I don't have to think about anything. I could just, there was like this relief of thank God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you just had this other dream where you won the lottery again, and that sounds incredible. But I just want to back up real quick with this dream about your father, because some people that I've met anyway that are empaths, or they're psychics, or that's how they make their living, and they seem very into, I don't know if you're a believer or skeptic with that sort of thing, but according to some people that are really into that stuff, if you have a visitation, or you speak or experience a visitation with somebody that's crossed, oftentimes they appear at a younger age, right around 30 or so, if Yeah, so I found that interesting.
Wow. Okay.
Do you think that you have some psychic abilities, or would you not use that word, or what do you think about that?
I wouldn't use that word. I think the word intuition is better. I think I have a very acute, I don't want to brag, no, very, very acute intuition. And I know even on the street, I know, well, not going down there. And I walk somewhere else. Or sometimes I'm just very, I'll take the long way because the short way, which is very safe, doesn't look safe to me today. So I'll do that, and, those kind of things.
Yeah.
Or I'll wear something because today I feel I need to wear Kelly Green. Not that I own anything Kelly Green, but if I did, maybe today I'll wear this because I feel this color is. Yeah, I think it's more intuition than it is, and street smarts. Just the little antenna, street smart antenna goes up, and you go, okay, not doing that.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. And someone is asking, because you mentioned this story of this lucky bone that was given to you, I believe in New Orleans.
Oh, mm-hmm.
Prior to your win, and someone was asking, do you think that person put a spell on the bone?
If she did, when I go home, I'm going to put it into a pot of water and make a broth and drink it. I don't know. Because as I said, hindsight is 2025. You know what I mean? You just there's the fact, and then there comes the myth of what something is, especially after such a long. Because that was in September of 1999. So I've had a long time to mythologize on that black woman and on that bone. So that bone is still in my apartment. It's in my master bathroom, of all places. And it's hanging on a wall. It's one of my prized possessions. And I guess I like it in a shower. I'm showering with it and doing all personal things in front of this bone. So.
And do you know what animal the bone is from?
I have asked doctors and medical students, and they all think, first they say it's an animal bone, and they think it's the bone back here on the back of the neck. It's like part of and then it turns into spine or something.
Huh.
They think it's that part, like a shoulder bone, the middle shoulder bone or something, and so it's a backbone, and so. But that's all. No one has said to me, "This is a clavicle femur." No one's given me any Latin medical phraseology as to what this bone is. Well, this is most people look at it and go, "I don't know," And I'm talking about people who are doctors and medical students. Whenever they look at this bone, they're like, I'm not sure. Maybe it's an alien.
Yeah, well, it certainly seem to do the trick with perhaps bringing luck.
Between that and my grandmother, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And someone else was asking, I'm wondering if you went back to New Orleans to compensate or to help or to give thanks to the old lady who gave you the bone.
Yes, I did. It was 1999. I was staying in Treme, which at that time was a very charming black neighborhood, and there was a hotel there. And, I was the little white boy who would come and da-da-da. And so had no issues there. The ladies loved me because I'm funny. And so then I went back to Treme just to see 2004, 5, 6, around there. It didn't seem likely because she was so old, she probably would have been either homebound or dead. But I just went back just to see. And Treme now is it's become so gentrified that there are no more people, poor black people. If there are black people that are wealthy enough to live in Treme. And so that whole neighborhood has been gentrified. So she wasn't there. And neither was the hotel I stayed in, by the way. So, So that was turned into a luxury something. I
Oh
don't
my gosh. Someone is asking if you're a Taurus.
I am a tourist, but I'm not a Taurus.
Hmm.
Why would you
Okay.
think I'm a Taurus? I'm like the furthest thing. I am so much my sign that, are you into signs? Do you
A little bit, yeah.
people who know things they'll point at me and then go, "You're a Gemini." And yes, that's what I am as a Gemini.
The twins.
The twins, and
Yes.
it's the most intellectual sign, not the smartest sign. The smartest sign is Aquarian, but the most intellectual sign, and also the sign that has insomnia, and the sign that has great wit and can speak and can entertain a room full of people. And then I have a Virgo moon, and the Virgo is what keeps me from, it keeps Gemini from having that next drink, if you know what I mean. And I mean that,
Uh-huh.
I don't mean that literally. I mean that as a metaphor. It's, even, if I'm out, you know, it gets me, my Virgo gets me home at 1 o'clock when the rest of my friends are out until 6, and I'm very grateful to the Virgo part. And then my rising, no, my moon is Leo. My rising sign is Virgo, and my moon is Leo. And Leo is the theater part. Leo is royalty and theater. So there you have my whole chart there.
I love it. Yeah, and some people are really, really into that. So, yeah,
I have a friend who has the same. He was born on my birthday's June 13th. In case anyone wants to send me happy birthday memes, and no presents, but just memes, something funny at least, or beautiful. I have a friend, and he was born on June 13th. His moon is in Leo, and he's a Virgo rising. He's the same exact combination as I, and yet we couldn't be more different from each other. It just.
I have one more question from a fan, a viewer that really enjoyed the previous interview that I definitely want to get to. And she is asking, what is your advice to find the best person to help you behind the scenes if you win a 45 million jackpot?
The first thing I would do is find a good bank. And if you don't know anybody who knows anyone, right? I mean, and that's possible that you don't know people who know tax attorneys, or I would start asking questions at the bank. I would question the people at the bank. Can you recommend a tax attorney or an accountant? I'm sure they can recommend an accountant. A bookkeeper, you hire someone that's someone that you hire to come to your house and to straighten out all your receipts and your bills and everything, and prepare the package for the accountant so that he can then do your taxes. So a bookkeeper is someone you should also hire, and that you just have to put an ad somewhere for bookkeepers and see who shows up, and be a good judge of character. But I think if you start out with the bank, wherever you're putting your money in, and you don't know anyone in the profession, I would ask the bank for a recommendation for a bookkeeper as well. They'll probably know someone who knows someone or something.
Bookkeeper, that's not a CPA, right?
No, you don't need a CPA. You just need someone who comes into your house once a week and gathers up all your receipts. I mean, now, what I do and what I suggest to people who need to keep their receipts is that I would charge everything and then pay everything off, pay that card off every month. So instead of using cash, depending on what you want, I get a credit card, and just make sure you pay it off every month. Don't let that credit card ever grow. Charge everything, pay it off. Charge everything, pay it off. And the reason you do that is because credit cards will send you, at the end of the year, your entire expenditure put into categories. So food, restaurants, entertainment, education, and they'll have it already blocked off for you. And that is a great help to your bookkeeper and to your accountant. So I think what I'm saying there is that if you win a lot of money, charge everything, do not carry cash. Because once you charge everything, you have a record of everything you've bought. But pay it off every month. You can't let it grow. You have to pay it off. And then you don't pay any interest, and it's like having a free account.
Yeah, and you're building credit. That's
you're building a lot of credit, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John Falcon, thank you very, very much for your time. I'm so grateful. This is so insightful, inspiring. Your story is spectacular, and as is your voice, which we will link to your music in the description or the show notes if you're listening to this.
Don't forget to wish me luck about winning again.
Yeah, I wish you good luck about winning, of course.
Hello!
Yeah, I don't know if you need it, though. But
well, we'll see,
Yeah.
In 12 years, if I'm like, old folks, well, No, imagine me at 80 still being this way. I mean... And you know how you don't remember your dreams? But I woke up thinking to myself, oh, I won the lottery again. That solves everything. Like, I did it again. When I won the money and I got that first check, my life has been thrilling and happy for the last 26 years. I mean, if I knew how to do it again, I would have done it again a few times.
Do you ever have people that reach out and ask for money or...
Even today that happens, and no becomes your best friend. That's one of the great things about growing up in New York is that you learn how to set your boundaries really quick. You stand there and don't ask for my money, and no. This is my philosophy, take it or leave it. Money does buy happiness.